Hello,
Oh,
everyone, and welcome to Soul Talk. I am your host, Soul, and today I have a very special guest, my beautiful friend, my sister in SAI, my fellow band nerd, Ashleigh. How you doing today?
great. How are you, Soul?
Doing good. I'm so glad to see your beautiful face. It's been a while since I've seen you. And something we completely did not plan at all, but we have t-shirts that kind of coincide with each other. So check these out. Those teach Black history, love Black people the way you love Black culture. Mine is a Miami Heat shirt, but I mean, it's still same message, same message.
It works.
Well, first Soul Talk is when we go into things that we've recently read, things that we recently watched TV and movie wise. And so let's get right into it. So, Ashleigh, what have you recently read?
Um, all right. So, like pre-warn here, I'm a music teacher, but I'm also pretty passionate about my students who may feel like a minority in other areas of life, but I try and make them feel like a majority inside my classroom. So, two really important books that I'd recommend to my fellow educators out there. One is called Becoming the Educator They Need. Um, and I recently reread this book. We actually did a pretty good talk series with a few of my coworkers in the summer. And we just got the opportunity to ask a lot of hard questions. Um, for someone who is Caucasian or white, it's oftentimes very difficult to know where the line is to be drawn with a lot of issues regarding race. We don't mean to offend, but sometimes we get caught up in an inherent bias, is what we call it. And the book just kind of talks about that. There's this professional athlete turned educator that addresses the stigmas in the world that all Black males in particular were doomed to become nothing but criminals. And uh, he sort of addresses this uh, inherent bias that a lot of people have of, especially our generation and below, of Black males, and tips and tricks sort of how to address this uh, matter. And one of them is, like I said before, making them feel like a majority in your classroom, making sure that they have a voice where it's not dampened by any means, letting them speak and having them feel like they're able to be open in your class. Um, and the second one that I'm going to bring up is really pinpointing your inherent bias. I'm used to pretty much being the center of an Oreo cookie in our friend group. Sol and I used to hang out a lot in college, and most of our friends are BIPOC. Uh, and I think I'm pretty grateful for that opportunity, not just because, I got to experience the other side of their world, I guess, but I came in as this like naive Republican who they just kind of like dropped the seed a little bit. Never did they shove it in my face. Like, do you see how different it is for you being white? They just kind of was like, oh, did you see that? Yeah, that's because society thinks I'm Black, or society thinks that Blacks are criminals. So if you're an educator out there, seriously check out that book because it's one of the most fantastic books that I read. Um, the other one that I want to bring to your attention is mostly for my elementary school teachers out there. Uh, and it's called Your Name is a Song. It's a pretty cool book. I never usually use books in music class, but I'm definitely going to use this one for Black History Month this year. Um, and it talks about this little girl who has a unique name, and I'm not going to spoil too much. You guys got to read the book, but she has a pretty unique name, and she gets really frustrated that every time she goes to school, her teacher can't pronounce her name. And she says it over and over and over again, gets corrected, has to correct the teacher, has to correct her fellow classmates. And her mom says, no, your name is a song. Everyone has a rhythm. And so the girl introduced herself then with the rhythm of her name. So this year I have several students with unique names that are going to be finding the rhythm to their name, and I think that's pretty cool.
This is a book that I definitely want to get for my 3-year-old niece because, like, her name is pretty normal, especially down here in Miami. There's a bunch of Catalinas that live here in Miami, but I guess I kind of feel for that because even though my name is only 3 letters, and even the American accent, you just say Sol. The real pronunciation is Sol, but that people had problems with that too, that I went by my nickname, which is from my middle name, Grisana. I went by Chrissy for the longest time to make it easier for white people to
Yeah.
pronounce my name. So it was something that I didn't realize till college, that I was like, no, my name is beautiful and I want people to call me by my actual name. Going back to the first book you mentioned, I just want to shout you out so much, and I appreciate educators like you that realize their inherent bias and realize, like, okay, I might not know everything, and educates themselves, because I view myself as a continual learner. That's why I have so many books and I'm always trying to research and learn more and more. And I've just appreciated your friendship, and you've been our white friend in the group who and I that reminded me of a time, I think it was you and Dakota in my car, and like a person got, like, for whatever reason, like locked their door and kind of like looked at us really weird. And you were like, what the fuck's going on? And I was like, and how did that make you feel?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I really can't stress it enough. Like, seriously, I'm not a big reader. So like when you invited me on the show, I really had to think about, which one I was going to talk about, but I'm pretty appreciative of admin and, suggested the book, because even though I like to think of myself as someone who tries my absolute best to make sure that they're included and feel like they have someone they can talk to about white people being, well, white people. I don't know, that book just pointed out a lot of stuff that we didn't know. We didn't know we were doing wrong, and a lot of things have come to be acceptable over the years that we need to make an active effort to change.
And I think that's too, you should, and this is to my BIPOC people out there, is that we should always allow for a chance for people to change. And I know that it's very hard, and I know myself too. Sometimes you look at people and you're like, they're never going to change, and so therefore you kind of write them off. But I feel that the only way to move forward and to make things better is for people to realize their own inherent biases and actually strive to make a change. And
Right.
the only people that can actually make changes are themselves. So it's that we can't, and I think that's something with you and our friend group, is we knew we couldn't make you change. You had to change yourself.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think we need to allow spaces for people to change and get better.
One of my really good friends here and a mentor of mine said that you have to allow people to show their ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
It's just stuck with me. We don't like that, not even a little bit. Like when people show their ignorance, we're just like, okay, but hear me out on this one. I was one of those ignorant people. I swear I was. Swear up and down I was. I was not the person you see sitting in front of you. But because of our friendship, allowing me to show my ignorance, you were able to slowly change those biases over time.
See, it can work, people. So I'm going to go into my 2 recent reads, which I guess this episode is going to be a very woke, in quotation marks, episode, because 2 of the things that I read are very feminist leaning. So one is actually a comic, and it's called Bitch Planet. And this comic is written by Kelly Sue DeConnick, who has written stuff for Marvel, DC, and Image. And one thing I did not realize until going to her Wikipedia page is she actually did some translations for manga. And she translated the first 20 volumes of Black Cat, which I own the first 10. I'm hoping to get it because it is a completed series, so I can actually like own the full thing, unlike like One Piece that will never be done. I think after that author dies, they will still make One Piece volumes. But she's also, one thing I found out from Wikipedia too, she's married to Matt Fraction, who is also a comic book writer, and you might know him from the Hawkeye run, so that very famous run. So it's kind of interesting. I was like, oh, look at this duo. And but this was also nominated for a Hugo Award, which that is a annual literary award for the best science fiction or fantasy works and achievement for each year. And this comic is set in a world where men are completely in charge and the leaders of the world are called fathers. And all the women who don't fit into the image of the perfect woman that the fathers create is they get sent to bitch planet. So if you're too fat, if you're too old, if you are insubordinate, if you are just what is quote unquote a bitch to them, you get sent to bitch planet. So they ship your ass off planet.
Yeah, I'll go. Why not? That'd be something.
And it's and so it's pretty much a prison, and you see these women and all these different and colorful and vibrant and very what they consider insubordinate women. And just reading this comic, which I'm really sad that there's only 2 volumes out there, because it ended right at a spot, and I'm like, no, there needs to be more. And I wonder why it didn't continue on, because it's such a great story. But it's very fun and colorful, and it speaks to what it's like going through life as a woman and what societal standards what that are placed upon women, and how like those standards are utter bullshit, because you can never be good enough to some people. Like no matter what you do, like those people are still going to consider you as a bitch. So send your ass straight on to bitch planet.
I'm going. I would be there
let's
first day.
let's go. Let's go.
You and I.
Yes. And the next book, I actually was reading it for, there's a readathon that I am a part of called the Four Nations Readathon, which is based off of Avatar The Last Airbender. And the second prompt in this readathon is to read a book that's under 100 pages. So this is a very short read, and I think everyone should read this. And it is called We Should All Be Feminist. And I really, really hope that I'm pronouncing her name right. I am not sure, but it's Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. If I am wrong, I am very, very sorry. But I'm going to do the cardinal sin of reading the very last sentence in the book. But I think it for this book, because it is really more just talking about feminism, and it's not really a story, a linear story that like people who read the last page of a book before finishing the book. Cardinal sin. Cardinal sin. It goes, my own definition is a feminist is a man or a woman who says, yes, there's a problem with gender as it is today, and we must fix it. We must do better. All of us, women and men, must do better. And I think that's just the main goal of the book, is that going back to the book that you were reading, that there is inherent bias and there is ways that women are treated differently from men, and that men do need to realize that inherent bias and need to see why they are treated a little better than women. And also it talks about too how men with that they grow up and have to be masculine, and that it actually hurts themselves as well, and it gives them fragile egos, and it gives them mental health issues as well, because if they're not masculine, then they're not good enough as well. And so it talks about how feminism can improve women's lives, but it also can improve men's lives as well.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a great read. I'll actually check it out. But I was reading something on Facebook the other day. It speaks to what you were talking about. We want men to grow up to be supportive husbands. We want men to grow up to be, to be able to do the dishes, to be able to cook, to all this. But we don't want them playing with baby dolls. We don't want them doing girly, like what society views as girly activities, and just the flip side of that. We want girls to grow up strong and be able to defend themselves and speak for themselves, but we don't want to enroll them in masculine activities. And I think society just really needs to get rid of this ideal that you want what you want, but you won't allow kids to grow up in a mixed environment, so to speak.
Yeah, and that was even one thing that I tried to like. I used to work in McDonald's when we were in college in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and they would say a lot of times when people would go through the drive-through, you would if they order a Happy Meal, the easy way to go is girl toy or boy toy, and I refused to do that because, like, let's say it was Transformers and My Little Pony, I would go, would you like a Transformers toy or My Little Pony toy? Because there are boys who want to play with My Little Pony. There are girls who want to play with Transformers, and a lot of the times, like the boy toys were cooler. Like they had Marvel and DC stuff, where it was like little Barbie, like little pieces of shit, basically for the girl toy. And I
Yeah,
was like,
I agree.
if it was me, I would be like, there was Pokemon toys for the boy toy too, and like I remember getting a few of those for our friend Travis because I was like, Travis, we got Pokemon toys at McDonald's.
Heck yeah, man.
But so I always try to not associate toys by gender because any kid can play with any toy.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly appreciate that. Like, again, going back to our friendship, the way that I dress became so much better because of that friend group allowing me to express myself, like helping me to find my own style versus wearing sweatpants and animals on my head. You know, I finally discovered what jeans were. Heaven forbid. Yeah, but just the same. Like, I still, to this day, get people who are like, why do you dress like a boy? I don't dress like a boy. I dress like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think too, it I mean, there's obvious differences between, and this book even goes into it about how there is differences between men and women. They were like, women can bear children. Men, no matter how hard they try, they can never do that. Goes, and then even though there's exceptions, men are inherently stronger than women. They're going to be able to lift things more than we are and have that. They also, their metabolisms are different and their hormones are different. So it still shows like there's differences between men and women, but just because there's differences doesn't mean that we should be treated differently. And so it was a very quick, very short, very important read. So I definitely highly recommend for everyone out there, even if you're not a reader, it's literally like 52 pages, super quick. Y'all can do that. So now to a little less serious conversation. We're going to go into our recent movies watch. So what have you recently watched?
All right, listen, again, music freak here. I long awaited the day that Soul came out. Such a good movie. Ah, I can't even express how much I love this movie. First of all, go Disney for finally putting something other than white people in movies. Let's just go there first. Sorry, I had to do it. But I think also I related to one of the girls in the movie so much because this man teaches a high school band. Like, I related to both of them. I'm gonna start with the girl. In one of the very beginning scenes, she's like playing trombone and she just totally gets lost in the music. And all of her classmates kind of like giggled and chuckled, but the band director was like, "Don't hate her for getting lost in the music." And this is what I try to really relate to my colleagues all the time. They unintentionally relay messages that music is less important than core subjects, which is completely untrue. So if you're watching this and you think that music is less important than your core subjects, you're wrong. Sorry, not sorry. Okay? So I don't mean to lose followers. If I do, I'm sorry. But I'll tell you why. If you want music on the radio, if you want music on commercials, if you want music in your earbuds, if you want the fanciest headphones, gaming headsets, headphones, you have to have people who use their ears on a regular basis. And I'm so tired of people telling kids that this is not a viable career. you can do so many things with music, and that's why I loved that scene so much. I was like, yes, get go, yes, yes. And the main character in the movie, I think I relate to him on the mentor standard because he just goes after that one that couldn't be reached. He kept trying. Now, first, obviously, for selfish reasons, if you've seen the movie, he like keeps going and keeps going. So many of my kids get overlooked by so many educators. And when I'm the teacher that reaches them, they're shocked. They're like, how did you do it? How did you do it? Well, because I have an atypical brain, because I have ADHD, because I'm not going to fault them for being excited. I get it. We have the structure for a reason. And I can attest that I am that teacher that sometimes gets annoyed when kids call out and stuff. But you cannot get mad at them for being excited. At least they're engaged. You know, there are ways to address it. So I loved that movie. I hate watching movies, can't sit so long enough through them, but love that movie.
Hey, a movie that can let you forget about your ADHD for a second is a good movie. I also loved this movie. I watched it with my family on Christmas, and as a band kid, even though like my instrument wasn't featured, Ashleigh's was. There was a saxophone there. But just the fact too of just on a spiritual sense of where music takes you in those moments where you're playing and you get lost in the music and you're like, wait, what measure am I in? Where exactly am I? I'm just playing, and just putting a moment of, oh, that's you going into the great before. That's you uh basically going into another realm. And I love too the jokes in that where it's not just music that brings you to that realm, that it can be any activity that you do. And oh, I've been messing with this team forever. And I think it was the Brooklyn Nets. I forget which basketball team it was, but that scene was hilarious. As a basketball fan, like Miami Heat right here, like that was hilarious. The Knicks. It was the Knicks, not the Brooklyn Nets. A little bit across the river. Thank you, Ben, in the background. That's why he's the best producer out there. But yeah, I absolutely love the movie. Definitely go check it out. Very good message. Makes you cry because Pixar's always making you cry. So Pixar out with another good one.
Sure.
Now we'll go into my recent movies watched, which it's going to coincide with my recent TV. So a little spoiler there when we get there. But I recently watched The Karate Kid and The Karate Kid 2. So when we talk about the TVs recently watched, this will make sense. But I ventured back into the Karate Kid world recently, and man, do I love these stories. And I forgot how much I love these stories. And just the Daniel LaRusso character. And even though, again, okay, spoiler, I'm talking about Cobra Kai in my recent TV, how like different, like Johnny is such a big bad in, well, Kreese is the big bad, but Johnny's is very black and white in Karate Kid, where you have Danny LaRusso is the good guy and Johnny is the bad guy, and then Cobra Kai kind of like turns that on the head and shows that there's no black and white. It's all shades and shades and shades of gray, like real life. So I just really enjoyed revisiting these two movies, and I don't want to spoil Cobra Kai when we get to the recent TV watch because Ashleigh has not seen it yet, but she will be seeing it this weekend, she said.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about that spoiler wise. But we'll go into your recent movie watched. Oh wait, not recent TV watch. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, see, again, I had to like prepare for the show because I'm usually not a TV or movie watcher because I'm usually out doing something. So it has to be good in order for me to watch it. But I've been binge watching the heck out of uh, first Everybody Hates Chris. and secondly, Fresh Off the Boat. So everybody hates Chris. Let me talk about this one for a second. Okay. I love this dude so much, and I feel him on such a spiritual level. I feel like I walk around half the time and I'm just waiting for the next bad thing to happen. Sorry, I'm that cynical person. I'm sorry. But the way that he just comes back to his childhood and like thinks about things, it's narrated by Chris Rock, and he comes up with stories from his childhood based on his childhood loosely, so I hear, but the way that he handles things as a middle schooler or as a high schooler, I often kind of think about like, well, there, even though things may look pretty grim right now or look pretty bleak, 2020 low bar, low key. Let's talk about that. But I can always go back and think like, oh, thank God I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I think when I'm going through a really rough time, I can start to think like, you're going to be laughing about this 10 years from now. So don't stress about it. And the second one is Fresh Off the Boat. So this is a pretty good series to like sit down and binge watch a season at a time. I'm not going to lie, because it kind of draws you in with the storyline. And I think what I like about the show is just talking about, I think it's kind of set where this family like moves cross country in like the 2000 realm somewhere there.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So it's really fun to like throw back, because Eddie, I believe his name, that's about the time that you and I were growing up, his age kind of deal. So it's really funny to like go, oh gosh, yeah, cringe moment, low key. Yep, I remember that. And the way that you see his family come on the other side of struggles. And I think it also is a lighthearted way to bring to attention the struggles and stereotypes of immigrant families. And that they're not just built, they're not just made to do low end jobs. Like they're perfectly capable of doing more in life.
The mom in that show, and granted, I've only seen a few episodes of the first season, and I've been wanting to watch more of the show, but she so far is my spirit animal from watching the show. She is so funny, and she is that, and it reminds me too, and there's this great YouTube show thing that I watch where it was talking about like Asians and Latinos are very similar into the way they grow up, and they were talking about all the similarities, and like her mom is very similar. Like the mom character is very similar to how like Latino moms are as well, and and that video too was talking about how we save the plastic bags from the grocery and we put it in a drawer, or that we both eat a lot of rice, both
Yeah.
cultures. And so I love when you see different cultures from yourself and notice all of the similarities, and it shows you like, yeah, we're of different cultures and we have different traditions and different holidays and different things, but man, are we just so similar. And I love when you can take diverse things and humanize it and put it in a way that goes, man, we're not so different from each other. And I love stories like that, and the comedy so far from the few episodes I've seen are hilarious, and the mom is hilarious, and I love that the kid is into like 90s old school rap as well. So just him trying to be cool at school with it, hilarious.
Such a good show. If you have not watched Fresh Off the Boat, first of all, you live under a rock, and I'm saying that from someone who doesn't watch TV. Secondly, you need to go watch it.
Apparently, I live under a rock then. Because I haven't seen all of it. But I know what it is.
Well, go finish watching it. It's on Hulu. You need to go streaming services. You need to go watch it. It's lit.
So, my recent, as I said, is Cobra Kai. And so I'm going to be very vigilant about not spoiling the show for Ashleigh, because I want her to experience it in the full greatness that it is. But this show comes in basically the first episode goes in at Johnny's point of view, and it is about 34 years later, I believe. It's around that time, later from when he gets kicked in the face by Danny LaRusso and the Karate Kid and loses. And so the second episode focuses more on Danny, and you get focus on both of these characters, but I think, especially in the first season, there is a lot more focus to the Johnny Lawrence character, and just you get to see exactly where he is, and it shows too Johnny's still Johnny. He's still the kid that he was when he was in high school, but he's an adult now too with different lived experiences than what he had when he was in high school. And so you see his character progress and grow. And you see Danny is still Danny from the Karate Kid, but he's still not that perfect person that he was or meant to be and shown to be in Karate Kid. He has his own stuff, and I like the flip in some areas between the movies and the show, and I want to talk about this so much more, but you haven't seen it, so I will just say. Ashleigh, go immediately watch it, and everyone else who has not seen it, definitely go watch it.
You did a beautiful job stepping around that, by the way. Much appreciated.
Thank you. So that's pretty much it. This is one of our shorter episodes of Soul Talk. Doesn't mean that it's short because the company wasn't great, because the company today was absolutely amazing. I love you, Ashleigh, with all of my heart. My sister of SAI, because the
Roma.
the llama.
Roma.
We are not throwing gang signs up, people.
Yeah.
But anyways, Ashleigh, I know that you have been working on your own podcast. If you want to talk about that for just a second to let the people know.
Yeah, briefly. So being an educator, a music educator in particular, I think I'm in the right career field. I'll put it like that. I'm in the correct career field. I love what I do. However, sometimes when you're a music teacher, your own music gets lost in that. And I think it's really important to keep up with talents that you work to. I don't know, like you worked really hard, right? So that's kind of the goal. But one of the most awesome things about music is meeting new people. I mean, Soul and I never would have been friends if it weren't for band. And I know Dakota Compton was on here earlier. Low-key, I did not know that kid's name for at least 6 months. I just knew him as Bus Buddy. So shout out Bus Buddy if you're watching. I love you. So podcast time. You should definitely go check out Atypical. A.Typical. Search it up on Instagram. Search it up on Facebook and SoundCloud. Right now, it's just a couple of videos of me playing saxophone, but coming soon to a podcast near you is just talking about musician struggles and their success stories and just how they caught a break in the world or what they're doing with their lives now. And it's really just a showcase to people that music can be a major part of your life without it necessarily having to be a career.
Yay, music! And where else can the people find you, not podcast-wise?
You could follow me on Instagram. I'm really not that interesting. Sorry. This is my Instagram down below. I just joined TikTok.
What? How did I not know about this?
I literally just posted my first video yesterday. I totally freaked one of my friends out because I'm not a vocalist, but he is, and they posted one of those duet videos of "Stay With Me" by Sam Smith, and he's like, "Stay with me." Not directed at me, but I totally freaked him out because anytime I open my mouth, it pretty much sounds like a hyena singing. So he thought I was gonna sing, and he's digging his way into the TikTok world. He was like, "I totally thought you were gonna sing." I'll be like, "Oh no, honey, that's not your ministry." But I surprised, picked up a saxophone and played the duet part. So find me on TikTok. follow me. I'll post videos of me being ridiculous.
What I wish now I can bring back in my brain and put it like on TikTok, completely download it from my brain, is the time when you were dressed up as the kid and the son, the father and the son, where the father's playing trombone and the kid is banging the oven door, and you trying to do it and you broke your. I want that implanted. That failure of breaking
Yeah,
your oven prop.
I'll find it for you, Saul, just for you. But like Loki, I also need to post a video of the towel. Like if you don't already know this, we're WKU Hilltoppers, diehard Hilltopper fans.
Go Tops!
WKU has a thing for red towels. And Loki Soul's driving down the street and there's a red towel in the middle of the street. I'm like, pull over! She's like, why? I'm like, I gotta go get the towel. And I think she has it on a Snapchat video somewhere. But low key, she pulled over, and I literally went in the middle of the road and picked up the towel and said, "Cause no towel."
And this was an intersection, people. This was an intersection on a busy road, and the towel was in the middle of the intersection. And this crazy human being ran into the middle of the intersection to pick up this towel. And oh my gosh, hilarious! I still have the towel. I forget how many towels I have, but I think it's somewhere in the 30 something. Right?
Yeah. True Topper fan is measured by how many towels they have. Hilarious. But follow me on TikTok for more ridiculousness.
All right, and everyone, you can follow me at SoulGovan on Twitter and at soul.k.govan on Instagram. And you can see me here every Wednesday for Soul Talk with all my amazing guests, and every Sunday for Get Sweaty here on this YouTube channel. So go check that out. And goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Mwah, 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 mwah.